I'd like to call this meeting of the Board of Education to order. Amy, could you call the roll, please?
Mrs. Detzel?
Here.
Mr. Harlow?
Here.
Mr. Heather?
Here.
Mr. Engel?
Here.
Mr. Detzel?
Here.
Would you all please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I heard that. Everyone's received a copy of the meeting minutes for our special meeting on September 25th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Are there any corrections or additions? Okay, Amy? Motion passes 5-0. You also have a copy of our regular meeting minutes from September 25th. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved. Second.
Moved in second. Any additions or corrections? Okay, Amy? Motion passes 5-0. Michael, do we have a legislative update?
Yes, we have a very short one. The Senate Judiciary Committee heard sponsor testimony, which is the first hearing, on Senate Bill 196. This legislation would create the offense of aggravated bullying and make it a third-degree misdemeanor.
Tonight, we have, for our student achievement report, I believe we have criminal justice and digital media representatives here. Would you come on up?
Hello. My name is Rick Aragon. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the digital media arts instructor over at Northwest High School. Yeah, you can click the first video here. In the background here, we've got a few pictures kind of around of our lab and kind of what our students are up to in the program. And I've got some students with me here today who are going to talk a little bit about what they're up to in the program. Our classroom consists of an Apple computer lab, what you see here. We also have a recording arts studio and a video broadcasting studio. Students participate in many projects throughout the year, such as editing movie trailers and music videos, producing newscasts, photographing school events, and also recording something that we call the Northwest News in our broadcasting studio. Students also gain leadership opportunities by participating in Business Professionals of America. Last year was our very first year as a chapter to go to Orlando, Florida to compete at the national level. Last year, we also partnered with many businesses in the Northwest community. I'm a big advocate of getting my students out to help Tony back there with Waycross and to get them more experience in video. And today, we actually went up to Columbus with two of our students, and we had our state officer screening. So tonight, if you see Mr. Haynes step out, he may be receiving a phone call to be state officer, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, so our students in our programs, they partner up with local businesses. Last year we had 3 students who partnered up with a local business to create a website. I have 1 student who's currently partnered up with a corporation to create training videos. And Mr. Haynes over here actually was an intern with Channel 9 News last year, over the summer. To continue our positive outreach with students and parents, we have produced the Northwest News on YouTube. We just started a Nightlife podcast on iTunes with the help of these 2 gentlemen here. And we even offered a 2-week film camp over the summer to middle school students to try to promote our program. We are also working towards implementing CTAG and CCP credits to those seniors who have successfully completed this program. So today, we're going to hear from Mr. Haynes. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. My name is Adam Haynes. I'm the owner of Rev Horse Productions in Cincinnati, Indigo Brand. I'm also the digital marketing strategist to Blue Jacket Authentic, which is owned by my brother John Haynes, and Joint Base Charleston, South Carolina. I am the BPA president for my local chapter. This past summer, I interned, as Ms. Yergin said, with ABC, WCPO, Channel 9, and City Cable with Steve Sobel. last year in May, we went to NLC. I went as voting delegate. As far as BPA, is a very different organization. It's a CTSO, I'm sure you know. But in relation with digital media and BPA, I think we've grown together as a whole. And I think this next year, including this year and the years after, I think we're going to see a lot of growth and change. I think we're going to do amazing things. One of the things as BPA president for my chapter, I'm trying to set up for the future of our junior class getting internships for at least opportunities given those students to grow their career experience. And hopefully that'll expand even more in the years that come. Today for in BPA, we did our state officer screening. We went up to Dublin, Columbus, which is in that area in Ohio. That was a very cool experience. We met with the state officer team, and they took us up to rooms. We did interviews and speeches. I felt like I was very confident, and hopefully I do move on as a candidate. I think that part will be easier. But as far as collectively, I think BPA and digital media, Butler Tech, is going to be a very strong relationship. I think it's going to have a very strong future in the years to come. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Ed.
My name is Jalen Murray, and I'm in a junior digital media class, and we've been working on a lot of projects and working on a video called Imagine Dragons, and Mrs. Jurgen here gave us all the raw footage, and we had to use our creativity to just make the story up and edit the video to the way we want it. We're also working on commercials just for fun for the class, and the class actually helping us know what we want to do in our future for our job.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Trayvon Jackson, and I'm going to talk about the podcast that we actually did. We actually held a podcast for Northwest, and we had the athletic director, Mr. Watkins.
Yep.
And then there's me and Jalen. There's Mr. Bill Bain. And then there's Ms. Smith, and then there's Mr. Johnson. We ended up interviewing them, and they talked about different things that the school is doing, and how school is changing, and it's basically a chance for parents and other people to actually kind of be informed and a different way about what's going on with the school. You're just not left out of the dark. And we did our first recording, and sometimes the first time isn't always the best time, but it actually went great this time. We recorded it and there was no problems. We got the mic set up easily. There weren't any mic interferences anywhere. It was all nice, and the recording was steady. There weren't breakage in the sounds or anything. Everything recorded nicely, and we got it uploaded, saved, and now it's actually up on iTunes right now. And we're actually going to continue doing it. It's great. The principal thought it was a great idea, so we're actually planning on doing a new podcast next week. That's all I got to say.
You can play a little, if you want to play a little bit of it, just a little snippet. Oh, it looks like it's muted. Go to the right there. There we go, yeah. Oh. Oh, there we go.
Some new initiatives for this year.
Thanks everybody for listening to the first ever Nightlife podcast, discussing everything that is Northwest High School. In this episode, we are joined by our host, Bill Banger. He's a Northwest alum, class of 79. And our guests are Principal Susan Smith and head football coach Lee Johnson. We talk about all the new things that are going on and exciting new things that are going on here at Northwest High School during the 2017-18 school year. We review everything that's been going on with our athletic programs here thus far in the fall, and Coach Johnson previews our contest against the Edgewood Cougars. And we also talk about supporting students with restorative practices, a district initiative that has really taken off here at Northwest High School. So enjoy the listen, and thanks for tuning in.
All right. Yeah, so it's about a 25-minute podcast.
Welcome to Nightlife.
And Bill Bangert, he's a former 700 WLW anchor, and he was a Northwest grad back in 79. Yes. That sounds right. So he came back and just was amazed by everything that we're doing, all the programs that are in the career building, which is awesome. And then there's one more link. I just wanted to share one last thing here. Our Northwest News, all of this of which is on our YouTube channel, DMA Productions. You can check us out on YouTube. So this is our Northwest News that we create every week. We create one show a week. Students do everything. I just sit back and watch.
Hello, I'm Kyron Harrell. And I'm Patrick Crockett. And welcome to Northwest News. Our top story, the homecoming parade, has come and gone. It was held on Friday, September 29th. Following this was the homecoming football game and then the dance on Saturday, September 30th. The parade was a huge success, and if you were lucky, you met Cameron, the photographer that took many pictures and even had the drone flying around. I want to say thank you to all the parents and siblings catching candy, making the seniors' last homecoming parade a memorable one. We'd like to extend our thanks to all the staff members who came out and helped and made the homecoming parade, and a big thanks to the Senate members who stayed up after the game and helped set up on Friday night. Rumor has it they were there for more than 2 hours. Thanks again to everyone involved in making homecoming possible. We go to David Scott with the weather.
Thank you guys for the wonderful news, man. As y'all know, today, y'all gotta put on lotion on y'all knees, cause that temperature gonna be 75 degrees. But today we don't have a low of 61 degrees and a high of 81 degrees. As you guys know, tonight, Friday Night Lights, we play Ross at Ross. Y'all know it's supposed to be a lollipop. A good game, but the temperature at kickoff will be 72 degrees. And by the end of the game, the temperature will be 70 degrees. And carry on to Saturday, we'll have scattered showers, and we'll have a low of 62 degrees and a high 82 degrees. And carrying on to Sunday, we'll have a low of 65 degrees and a high 83 degrees. So just know it's going to be hot. So wear y'all good clothes.
Thanks, David. Free application.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Takes place Thursday.
All the students, they each have a job. There's a creative director, there's our editing team, there's our field team, there's our producers, our script writers. So every week they meet together at the beginning of the week and they come up with the ideas for the show. And then on Thursday we actually record the show. And then Friday morning we broadcast it up on our YouTube channel for all of you guys to enjoy. All right. Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
Well, I thought having a radio station was cool.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, you missed it at our last board meeting. Chris had the radio station. They had one at Coleraine.
Oh, yeah.
Back in 1974, and he played 3 minutes of them being on the air, playing music, and that. It was.
Oh, that'd be great.
We
yeah.
were a 10-watt station that actually transmitted out. You could pick it up as far as Oxford.
Okay.
But the main area was just a few miles, but it was just so much fun.
That would be fun, yeah.
Yeah, so this is even better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They have
Chris,
a lot of
I
fun.
went over there and checked that, and their facilities are awesome. You have to stop over and see
I'd
it.
like to see that,
It's
yeah.
very
Very nice. I'm going to check the YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to be featuring a story this week with the installation of the beams over at Struble Elementary.
Okay.
So we're going to send a field team out there to kind of record what's going on with that, too. So.
Real quick, I actually graduated, went all through school with Bill. Did you get to talk to Bill Bangert much, asking questions and things he did while he was in that industry?
I didn't have time to, ask him everything, but he did tell me that, he was actually in Northwest and how, he was with the news
Right.
and everything.
He did. He worked for the Red, did stuff with the Reds too, and EBN. So he's done a lot. And real quick, Adam, you look very sharp here tonight, and we're wishing you good luck. And if you get a call, you can interrupt the meeting and let us know that you got that call.
Okay.
So we're wishing you good luck. Thanks to all of you.
Yeah, and last but not least, Kyron Harrell, he's here. He also went up today for state officer screening.
And look how nice you look as well.
Yeah.
Right.
He came up today. He's our Northwest News anchor. Anything you'd like to share about the show real quick?
This year we just really wanted to kind of put our own twist on it.
And so Jurgen told us that where the seniors left off last year, we've already surpassed that. And I take a lot of pride in that because
I really am. I really enjoy being in front of the camera. I enjoy working with people that are up here. I enjoy being with you because everybody just want to join talking to everyone that is. I am.
You can talk to them.
I'm very sorry
We're
about
fine.
the
This is a
wait.
lot more interesting.
But so for Northwest News, we kind of just wanted to put a comedic aspect to it, but then really get the point across about what's going on in our school. We actually had a really long talk, me, Adam, and then Bryce is another person that I do the show with. We stood up in front of the room and kind of had just like a press conference, a mini press conference like this, and we were just kind of snowballing ideas about what we wanted to do, what we would change from last year, what we think would be good to apply to the show this year. It's something that we really put our brains together. We have a lot of great people that you can't even see on the camera because Adam is in the studio and he makes a lot of this piece together really well. I mean, all I have to do is read words off of the screen, but when it comes to Adam and he has to say, okay, 1, 2, 3, go, and then he has to say that to someone named Evan, and Evan goes 3, 2, 1, go, says that to me. So I mean, it's a lot of hard work that we put into it. A lot of people don't really understand that, but I'm sure that you guys do. And we're just really proud of, I think you're proud of all of us. I'm proud of everybody as well.
You do a great job speaking, and feel free to stop in anytime and let us know how you're doing.
Yeah, we'd love to invite you guys all to come out and check out the show on a Thursday if you guys are up
Okay.
for it. Okay.
That sounds awesome. Thank
All
you.
right.
And again, good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have members for criminal justice?
Ms. Guttles, I apologize, but Sergeant Morgan, who leads our criminal justice program, unfortunately, he has the flu, which he said perfect. And so he definitely is under the weather, and he volunteered. His students wanted to still come tonight, but with so many things going on with some of the seniors doing over the summer that he wanted to, mention, I told him we'll hold off to another date, and so I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Nobody feels better. And it's better he stays home.
And guys, if you have homework, feel free to go. We understand.
Even if you don't have homework, you can leave if you want. You're welcome to stay.
I really do have a meeting. Am I allowed to just shake everybody, say thank you really quick?
Sure.
I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you. Good job. Thank you.
You got the right person now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice job, guys. Great job.
Thank you, guys.
Good job. Good job.
I'll just maybe come up.
Okay.
I'm up next.
All right.
Okay, so we are going to the Butler Tech update.
Yeah, I just, a couple of things. I wanted to bring Kristen up here so she could talk about, we had Manufacturing Day out at Rhinestall and Mason. And go ahead and I'll let you
Sure.
give a little
I'll scoot
spiel
over
on it.
here. I was going to just pass this. I was
No,
going to
that's
pass it off to you,
That's all right.
Mr. Detzel. But so Friday, both Rhinestall, a manufacturing company in Mason, Ohio, they hosted 40 students from Northwest and 40 students from Colerain High School. One of our big initiatives is to get more students interested in advanced manufacturing, which has the number of openings in the local Southwest area is off the charts and continues to grow. So we were graciously hosted by Rhinestall, and we had a great turnout. Students got to see hands-on the opportunities that are available to them if they take our machining program, that they're able to make 6 figures, that they can have their college paid for, and that they can have a job right out of high school. So it was a great day to get some sophomores certainly interested in that career pathway. And I don't want to monopolize the time,
No,
so
you're fine.
I would like to invite everybody that's here. We're going to be having, along with senior night at Colerain High School on October the 20th, we'll also have about 15 manufacturing companies there to really talk to the parents, because they want to be able to share with the parents the opportunities that are out there. So how do we get that word out about these programs and that? We have a ball created here for Mr. Bowling that highlights the senior night, and also your machined keychain left over from the event. So, thank
You know,
so
I
much.
did want to mention, Telly, but across the country, there's 3 million jobs that go unfulfilled in this industry, in the advanced manufacturing. It's just, these companies are just, and the baby boomers are going to be retiring in the next 5 to 10 years, and then there are going to be that many more people behind. And that's why we want to try and that's why we took these 80 sophomores out there, just to see what's out there and what they can do, and they can make a lot of money. They can, it's a great corporation to get involved with, and you know, they help pay for college. You want to go to college and you can work, and it's a great opportunity for our students here in the Northwest District. And thanks to Kristen setting that up. It was and Representative Steve Shabbat was there, and Warren Davidson from Butler County was there, so you know, it was a very big success. And the kids that I was with, because we went around to every different area of the company, and kids questioning everything, how you do this, how you do that. I think they got a lot out of that. At least the kids that I was with in my group, and yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, so the field of advanced manufacturing is not the concept that I have from growing up. It's definitely working with the GEs and Procter & Gamble's and SpaceX, and they do work for the Hyperloop, which is a mode of transportation that doesn't exist yet, and then the SpaceX, which is going to be deploy the next round of astronauts in a year or so from now. So they were machining, as we were walking through, pieces that would be used on that space shuttle and the launch pad. So it really is cool to go into advanced manufacturing nowadays, plus it's an amazing opportunity for kids. So thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kristen.
Have a good night.
And just one other thing, the all boards meeting is tomorrow night out at D. Russell Lee, and reception is from 5 to 6, and dinner is at 6. And what that is the 10 member school districts that belong to Butler Tech, we all get together, the board members, and we have one big board meeting and see what's going on at Butler Tech. So that's what that is.
I just want to take a second to thank Kristen. I don't think there were that many other school districts that do this with the sophomores, are they? I mean, she is a go-getter, and I don't think anybody realizes for those 80 kids that are from our district that got to go to these companies, our other surrounding school districts, they don't do that. So what an opportunity for these kids to get to see, you know, right there in front of them, what they can do. And so I want to thank you for everything that you do, and Jim for always supporting them, because you guys do a great job. So thank you. Okay, we'll move into special reports. Brenda Miller.
Yeah, at this time, we'd like to bring up Brenda Miller. She is our Director of Instructional Accountability, and she will share information about the newly released local report card.
Good evening, everyone. As Todd said, my name is Brenda Miller. I am the Director of Instructional Accountability. With me this evening is Zach Phelps. He is our district data coach. Together, we're charged with making sure that people have the data and information in this district that they need, and also working with our teachers and our administrators to use that data to improve outcomes for our students. And I'm working on the remote. Okay, so this is the front page of our 2016-17 report card. Just a reminder, all Ohio report cards are available to the public. You can see those by going to the Ohio Department of Education website. Our grades on the local report card range from A to F. You can see up in the corner here, we'll talk about these all in detail in a minute, but we are very proud of our component grade of A for progress, which is growth. So it means that we are growing our students from where they start with us to where towards where they need to be. All the other grades are up there for you to see. Just as a point of reference, in 15-16, we actually had no component grades of A. I believe we had 1B. Yes, 1B, 1C, 3Ds, and 1F. So we actually improved in 3 of the major components of the report card an entire letter grade this year. I'm going to start with the success. So we're going to start with progress, which, as I said, is growth. If a school district or a school building receives a letter grade of C on this measure, it means that students are making expected growth. Our grade of A means that there's significant evidence that our students are making better than expected growth. In the state of Ohio, 129 school districts out of 608 received that component grade of A. We're even more excited because only 58 districts in the state of Ohio received straight A's. If you look back, if I can get this to go. All right, if you look back to the slide I showed, the front page of our report card, we received an A for our gifted population, for our students with disabilities, for our lowest 20% achievers, and for overall all students. So we really have a lot of significant evidence showing that we're growing students from our very lowest achieving students to our top students. It's just slow responding. Okay. One of the other things I highlighted here is based on the state's criteria, Northwest Local School District should be receiving a Momentum Award. This means that we are making significant progress. We haven't heard that officially yet, but we're excited to receive that award and continue the growth that we've made in the past 2 years. This slide shows you for specific grades and subjects what our value-added or progress data looks like. You can see there's a lot of dark green. Dark green is equivalent to an A. Means that there's significant evidence that we made more than expected growth. A score of 2 actually gets us that grade of A. You can also see there's some areas that we have to work on. We need to look at and work on our 4th grade reading. We have concerns and need to look at our 7th grade math. You can see that 5th grade science is red, meaning students did not make a year's growth last year. And all of our high school areas are red. This is really important for us to pay attention to and to tackle together, because next year the high school component by itself will be one of the subgroups. In order for us to keep our A for the component, our high school, we have to get at least a B. If we get lower than a B, we cannot retain that score of A for the component measure. So it's really critical, and we're working really hard to make sure that we're growing students not only in our elementaries and middle schools, but also at the high school level. This slide is showing the achievement component. There's 2 parts to this, and we'll talk about each of those. In Ohio, 309 school districts out of 608 received a letter grade of D for the achievement component measure. We also received a letter grade of D. I don't share that statistic with you to say that we're proud or happy with that grade, but I want to give context to our report card and how it fits with the rest of Ohio. So the 2 components of that achievement grade are indicators met and performance index. With indicators met, we're talking about there's 24 indicators that we're held accountable for. 23 of them are based on state testing that occurs in the spring. The 24th is the gifted indicator. In the state of Ohio, for indicators met, 490 out of 608 districts received a grade of F. Again, we're not happy with an F, but I want to give you that context. This year, Ohio changed the requirement for indicators so that for every tested area, you had to have at least 80% of your students proficient to meet that indicator. In the past, we also had all the OGT indicators, so that Ohio graduation test, which we were very successful with. Those are all gone. So all 23 are now based on those next generation and end of course exams that align to the new standards. When you look at the breakdown for the achievement component, This is the percent of our students who were proficient on each of those assessments. What I've highlighted in green indicates areas where we improved from 15-16 by at least a full percentage point. So 14 of the 23 tests, we improved by at least a percentage point. In fact, for language arts in grades 3 through 9, we saw significant improvement in language arts this year in terms of the percent proficient. When you look at all of these numbers, you see that they're nowhere near 80. We have some that are reaching into the 70s, but you also see there is not a single test where the state average is at 80. So Ohio has set a high bar, and we respect that, and we're working towards it. You can see from our progress or growth data that we're making progress, but we're not there yet, and we need to continue to attack achievement. The last piece you probably can't read is the 24th indicator, which is our gifted indicator. To get this indicator, we actually have to have 3 parts where we meet the target. We met the target for growth, for value added. We did not meet the target for performance index, which means that not enough of our gifted students were scoring at the advanced level. And we did not meet the target for gifted inputs. That means that when students are identified as gifted, we're not serving enough of those students in order to earn the required 80 points for that piece of this indicator. The second piece of the achievement component measure is performance index, or PI. When you look at this one, 327 districts in the state of Ohio received a letter grade of C. Northwest received a D. This is the area that we have decided as a district to target this school year. We believe we are more than capable of achieving a letter grade of C. In order to get that C for this 17-18 school year, we've set our goal at 84, and I'll show you what that means here. So this particular measure looks at how students performed on every single test that we were required to administer. We get points based on students scoring at the advanced, accelerated, proficient, basic, limited, and advanced plus levels. We get more points as students become more proficient or move up the scale. We get penalized if we don't test students that we're responsible or required to assess. So this year our performance index was 80.1. That maximum score for performance index is 120. So to get the percentage, we divide 80.1 by 120, getting us 66.8%. The grading scale says that that's a D. Our goal this year is to get to 84. We made a 3-point gain from 15-16 to 16-17. We believe that we're very capable of hitting 84. When we hit 84, if you do the math, that would be 70%, which would move us to a letter grade of C. That's our one-year goal. Obviously, we want to continue to move forward higher than that. Okay. This slide, lots of numbers on it, but in essence, what this slide is showing is that every single building principal in our district has set a goal for performance index. We don't magically get there as a district if they're not doing the work in the building with our students. And so each principal has set a goal. Goals, if you look through them, indicate that we're going to increase anywhere from 3.2 to almost 7 performance index points in each school. When each of our buildings achieves the goal that they have set, I truly believe that they can and will, our district would have a performance index of 84.8. So we have a little bit of cushion on our 84 goal. Hopefully we'll far exceed that, but that's what we're shooting for this year. We believe that focusing on performance index is the one area where we're a little bit out of sync with the state, and we believe that that will both grow our students and move us to higher levels of achievement. Next measure on the report card, K-3 literacy. This measure is looking at how successful we are at moving students who start out in the fall as not on track to on track by the following fall. So if they're not on track coming into kindergarten, we are trying to get them to be on track by the fall of first grade. And this measure looks at, are we successful in doing that? Across the state, 319 districts received the C. That's the grade that Northwest received. We did receive a D last year, so that is an improvement for us, even though the scale changed a little bit. I want to highlight here that Zach Phelps is responsible for tracking the third grade reading guarantee in our district, making sure that we meet all those requirements. He and I also are working very closely together to make sure that our specialists are providing strong intervention for our lowest students and tracking the progress of those students. So that's a big part of our responsibility. Next measure, prepared for success. This ties nicely into the presentations you saw earlier. We get credit for this measure. This is looking at 2 graduating cohorts. So the cohort that graduated in 2015 and the cohort that graduated in 2016. So this data is several years old, but it shows us how successful we are at getting students to be remediation free on the ACT, the SAT. It also looks at participation in dual credit programs like College Credit Plus. We received some points for that, and also looks at programs like Butler Tech. So are we getting students into some of those college and career readiness programs? Are they earning credentials that will help them to move forward in their career? So that's what this measure is all about. We are scoring currently at a D. We've added a lot of programs in the past year, and we've gotten all of our students taking the ACT, and so we hope that this measure will continue to improve. But we are in alignment with the rest of Ohio. Graduation. This is a big area of celebration for us. The grade that you see on the local report card for 16-17 is a reflection of the class of 2016. So this measure is always 1 year in the rear. For this particular measure, we received a B. For graduation rate, we were at a C. So we have moved up there. Of particular note with the class of 2016, 11 percentage point increase in graduation rate for our students with disabilities, and a 4 percentage point increase for our African American students in that graduating class. So those are 2 things that we feel are very promising, and we continue to really focus on moving this one forward as well. Gap closing is a measure that looks at the closing the achievement gap for the federally defined subgroups. So it's looking at students who are economically disadvantaged, students who are multiracial, students who have disabilities, all of those subgroups, and how successful we are at closing the achievement gap. It's calculated in a very different way than the progress value-added measure where we received the A. You can see that Northwest here received an F, as did 293 other districts in the state of Ohio. It is my understanding that the ESSA proposal from the state of Ohio would change how this measure is calculated and would actually make it more similar to the progress or value-added measure. So we're waiting to see what happens with that. But at this time, I think there's a lot of conversation about whether this measure is being calculated in a manner that is fair and really reflective of the progress of our subgroups. All that said, lots of data. Couple summary points I just want you to walk away with so that you can talk to others in our community about our local report card. The first one, overall, students in Northwest Local School District are making more than expected growth. That's true for our all-student population, our gifted students, our students with disabilities, and students achieving at the lowest 20% in the state of Ohio. Second bullet point, students in our district need to achieve at higher levels, no question. We're not satisfied with where our students are at in terms of achievement, but we are moving forward and making gains in most of the tested areas, particularly in the area of language arts. As I just stated, graduation rate is improving in our district, especially with the class of 16 for students with disabilities and for our African American student population. And finally, Northwest Local School District component grades on the report card, while they range from A to F, they're better than or consistent with the majority of districts in the state of Ohio. And we have targeted performance index for improvement for this school year because we believe that it's an area that we can do better in and where we're a little bit out of sync with the rest of the state. So that's everything in a nutshell. What questions do you have for me?
You explained it very well.
Fast.
Anyway, great job, Brenda.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next report is our Cultural Competency and Equity report. To give us a brief overview of about a presentation that will be comprehensive on November 23rd, it will be Dr. Crystal Turney and Dr. Monique Johnson.
Good evening. As Mr. Bowling said, I am Dr. Crystal Turney, Assistant Director of Curriculum and Intervention, and this is Dr. Monique Johnson. She is our district's consultant for the cultural competency and equity piece. This evening we will be talking about that very subject. So I would like to begin with our, let's go back here. There we go. I would like to begin with an overview, first of all, citing our purpose as well as our rationale. So first of all, our purpose is to develop a solid plan to ensure that the diverse needs of our students are being met. And our rationale has come in a variety of ways. First of all, looking at our growing population of students, and also citing some things that Mrs. Miller cited in her report, including the high suspension rate, the improving graduation rate of our minorities, but still a lower graduation rate, as well as the achievement gap. And again, our ever-changing and growing population. Our rationale has also come as a result of some questions and concerns regarding the hiring and retention of quality minority candidates, as well as the comparison of similar districts in size, as well as demographics, as well as what they are doing to attract high-quality minority educators. So looking at this, we want to think about some of the opportunities that we have come across in this journey. First of all, last year, our administrative team went to the Freedom Center, in which everyone got a chance to tour the museum to learn some history, as well as some things that we can bring back to the district. Also, another opportunity was recently we took a team of teachers from each building to Northern Kentucky University for the annual diversity conference, and principals are using those teachers to share out to their staffs on their learnings from that day. Also, a couple of weeks ago, we had some of our students go to the Infinite Scholars Program, which was at the National Underground Railroad, in which colleges and universities were there to recruit minority students as well as students in poverty. They had to create an essay as well as provide transcripts and any ACT or SAT scores that they had at that time. So we took approximately 40 students on a couple of weeks ago to the Freedom Center for that. Another opportunity was last year, there was a minority male conference held in Kentucky, and we took approximately 20 young males to that conference. And at that conference, I met Dr. Monique Johnson. We had to go around the room and share our information district that we were from, and so in going around the room, she introduced herself, and she introduced herself as representing Lakota and working with the Champions for Change program there. And so knowing that their demographics are similar to ours, I did speak with her in regards to what she has been doing out in Lakota and what are some of the things that we can mimic so that we can have success with our minority groups as well. So with that, the district agreed to bring Dr. Monique Johnson along, and so here she is. So the next piece we are going to talk about is the process that we have undergone initially. Excuse me. There we go. So, Dr. Monique Johnson.
Excuse me. Good evening. Okay. All right. I'm going to start out by talking about the process that we used for the focus groups. After meeting with Northwest representatives, we identified 3 target groups that we wanted to know more about. And those groups were students, staff, as well as parents and community members. So I was provided with a list of names, and they were randomly selected. Some of them were intentionally selected because of the fact that they have been involved community members or parents who've shared their voice and thought that it would be great to have them be a part. So those were the individuals that I reached out to. I extended the invitation to participate through email primarily. Some of them I called on the phone if I didn't receive an email address, and some of them I sent letters to, through the U.S. Post Office. So not everyone responded, as to be expected, but we did get a very good response. And as far as the students go, some of the parents did not respond directly to me, but they responded to the principals. So when we arrived to facilitate the focus groups, we had a pretty good population of students because some of the principals were very hands-on and calling the parents themselves. So that worked out really well, and that was great. So the focus groups took place, the staff focus groups took place early August, and then we had a parent focus group towards the end of August. I think it was like August 24th. And the student focus groups have been primarily in September, and we just finished one last week in October. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the demographics in just a minute. So we created a bank of questions that representatives from Northwest looked at and determined, which questions were beneficial. So I gave probably about 20 questions. We didn't have an opportunity to ask all of those questions. Probably ended up being more like 10 questions, because you can imagine it's difficult to get through 20 questions with a group of people and everyone wants to share their voice. So it was primarily about 10 questions, and we wanted the questions to be consistent. So I made every effort to ask the same questions to the certified staff, to the classified staff, a different group of questions to the parent group, obviously, because their concerns are different questions to the students, because obviously their concerns are different as well. So the questions, as you can see, some of them, they focused on a variety of different areas. They focused on diversity, focused on diversity among staff, focused on job satisfaction for the staff, certified staff and classified staff, focused on academics from a parent perspective or from the student perspective, focused on safety, focused on discipline. Is the discipline fair? So we tried to capture a variety of different areas in terms of students' experiences or individuals' experiences here in the district. Okay, so just to highlight a sample question for the staff was, what are some of the most important challenges facing the Northwest Local School District in your opinion? So that was one of the questions. And as you know, you have to ask open-ended questions. You can't ask yes or no questions because people say yes or no, and that doesn't really tell you a whole lot, does it? So our goal was to understand and experience. Okay, so we did qualitative research as opposed to the numbers and percentages and things of that nature. Okay. Another sample question for parents was, what are your thoughts about the diversity of the staff and administration in this district? A sample question for students was, what's the atmosphere in your school? Do you feel welcomed and valued? Okay. So let's see. So the sessions were recorded, and the reason that we recorded them was because we need to capture what is said. And of course, I can't memorize everything. We took some good notes, but we can't memorize everything. And transcripts will be generated, word-for-word transcripts actually have been generated from the different focus groups and will be provided. And we did use a confidential system for engaging with one another. So no one is identified by name on the transcripts. They all received a number when they participated, so it's confidential, and everyone seemed to be okay with that. So what did our focus groups look like? Classified staff, we had 11 total, and that was 7 females and 4 males, 8 white individuals, 3 African American. So the certified staff, we had 22, oh, this is a microphone, I'm sorry. 22 total certified staff participated, 21 females, 1 male, 20 of them were white, 1 Hispanic, and 1 multiracial individual. For the parent group, we had 10 total in the parent group, 9 females, 1 male, and all 10 of them were African American. And we did reach out to other individuals, but they did not respond, so we went with what we had. So, student focus groups, we had 19 total females, 16 total males for a total of 35 students. Okay. 20 of them were African American, 11 identified as multiracial, and 4 Asian. Okay, so we interacted with roughly 78 individuals, students, parents, as well as staff. So there were 3 common themes that were apparent very early on. I'm not going to go into detail about the themes. At this point, I will provide a very extensive report that outlines all of the themes that arose from the groups. But the first one is a lack of consistency. And the lack of consistency referred to discipline, staff policies, procedures, any type of enforcement, and there were a number of other areas as well. But lack of consistency was a common theme. Cultural proficiency concerns. The students talked about the teachers coming from a good place, but not actually knowing what to do in different instances, different cultural related incidences. Okay? And that actually comes from the staff as well. The staff sort of through their own admission said, sometimes we don't really know how to handle those types of scenarios or those types of situations. And then the third was a lack of diversity in staff. Certified and classified staff talked about it, and it didn't matter their race. Most of the certified staff were white individuals, and they felt that there needed to be more diversity among the staff. Students talked about it, parents talked about it. It's something that is very important to people. So those were the three themes that popped out initially. And as I said, a more in-depth report will be provided in November. The groups were great. I enjoyed interacting with the students. Some of them were just fantastic, very well-spoken, and they weren't shy. So they shared quite a bit. So I think the process went well. We're going to continue, hopefully, and we'll use these focus groups as a starting ground for the equity plan that will hopefully ultimately come out of this. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next steps, as Dr. Johnson stated, we will have a full board presentation on November 23rd here at 7 p.m. and we will go through all of the specific topics and themes that emerged from our focus groups. And then the next thing after that is we will develop a staff and community equity committee in which we will highlight these themes as well as starting to work on the pillars that we will use to develop our equity plan. In those pillars, we will include the hiring and retention process of qualified minority candidates, as well as cultural awareness and proficiency for our staff, as well as ways to decrease the suspension and expulsion rate of minority students, and increasing the graduation rate of minority students, and most importantly and finally, closing the achievement gap of the students in our district. Our goal is to have full implementation of our district equity plan for the 2018-19 school year, but knowing that hiring season begins after the new year, January, February, and we plan to begin to implement some of those things in hiring season so that we can begin to immediately see the results of the hiring pillar, again, of recruiting as well as retaining high-quality minority candidates. That's it. Thank you.
The board meeting that she'll be presenting at with more information is November 20th. It's a Monday. Oh, no, you're fine. We moved it from the 23rd because in case you weren't aware, we are up off-site at Butler Tech. So our board meeting is not actually here. We wanted to make sure when we did our presentation, the board meeting was in district so folks could come and attend and see what's going on. We love the fact that Waycross videos, but we can't make sure everybody watches that here. At least they have a chance to come. So I'd like to thank Chrislyn and Monique. You did a great job, and I appreciate your work, and we'll continue to move forward.
I'd like to also thank both of you for your work and for all the parents, staff members, and students for their candidness. We need that. We need this dialogue. This is just the beginning, so this is exciting start. So thank you. Okay, at this time, do we have any reports from employee organizations, certificated or licensed? Classified? Any reports from school-related organizations? I have not received any requests for community comments. So we'll move right into,
Yes, the first item is a certificated licensed personnel item. Certificate licensed personnel retirements and resignations. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel retirements and resignations as listed.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions regarding personnel retirements and resignations? Okay, Amy. Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a fiscal item, then and now certificates over $3,000. The superintendent and treasurer recommend the Board of Education authorize the payments over $3,000 requiring a then and now certificate as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded on the then and now certificates. Any questions? Okay, Amy. Excuse me. Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is new funds. It is approval of new funds, Learning Links Hands-on Learning, and Learning Links Kids Read Now. The treasurer and superintendent recommend the Board of Education approve the new funds as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions regarding new funds? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a general business item. It is donations to Northwest Local School District. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the donations to the Northwest Local School District as listed. We are very appreciative of Colerain High School boosters donating the following to Colerain High School: new student section bleachers, campus beautification, and new reception furniture.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Questions or comments regarding the donations?
It's a very generous donation. And, sure that the students who camp out in the end zone really appreciate that.
Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is vendor contracts. Superintendent treasurer recommend the Board of Education approve the vendor contracts as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments regarding our vendor contracts? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is certificated licensed personnel items. Superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the certificated licensed personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions regarding certificate and licensed personnel items? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is classified personnel items. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the classified personnel items as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions regarding classified personnel items?
I see a lot of bus assistant and a bus driver on there. I guess we're heading in the right direction.
We're starting to get there.
Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is curriculum and instruction, out-of-state field trips. Northwest and Colerain High School Orchestra are requesting permission to take 86 students to NKU on Saturday, October 28th, to work with and perform for college instructors. No school will be missed. The superintendent recommends the Board of Education approve the out-of-state field trip as listed.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or comments regarding the field trip for the orchestras? I just want to say what an opportunity for these kids to be able to work with the college instructors. Could make a difference whether they decide to go on and continue playing their instruments. So good luck to all of them. Okay, Amy? Motion passes 5-0.
The next item is a miscellaneous item, is Neola Board Policy Revisions. It is information only. All of you have access to the Neola Board Policy Revisions. Please look them over. They were for information. If you have questions, please let myself or Daryl know, and then we will put them on for action at the next meeting. So that is information only. And superintendent's report. First of all, we have a beam signing in progress. So what that involves is a beam from each of the 3 new schools is being hauled to each elementary. So Weigel and Struble will sign 1 beam. So they'll get the top side and the bottom side, and then Struble will get the other side. That beam will then be put in place by a crane on top of the building, and their names and signatures will be in that building forever. We will videotape it through the young men who were here earlier, the media digital class. So it will be posted on the website. It will be sent to each of the schools. There was no way to bus 600, 500 kids from each of the buildings over to it. So it will be held officially at Struble on the 18th at 8:30 a.m. at Struble Elementary. And that will be where the beam is lifted and hoisted up by the crane and placed on the top section of the new building. So we're pretty excited about that. They just mentioned bus drivers and aides. We are doing our best to continue to hire more. OPSI brought to the table that they thought we needed some more trainers, and we are in agreement. So we're trying to make sure we got trainers to make sure as soon as they get certified, we can get them out there. We just are still trying to get them through the process of getting the CDL. And we've had a couple call about the new rate, but they did not want to leave their district because they couldn't draw unemployment in June and July when they do not transport folks. So that is another thing we're fighting, and that's legitimate for what they do. It's not just a person, it's what occurs because you do not have a job in those months. But things are getting to a place where they're better. They're not perfect by no means. We still are doubling up some buses. We still have 2 buses riding 1, and we're doing the best we can. We are still getting emails and phone calls, but Dan and his group, and then like I said last time, I can't say enough about the bus drivers. We have bus drivers who'll be in the middle of one route and will turn around and go back and get a kid because the bus did not pick them up. So it's very much appreciated. I don't know what to say about our current employees. They're doing a great job, and the 90% of them who are showing up to work every day on a daily basis are just doing a great job and doing everything Dan and Chris asked them to do. We're just now in the process where I think over the next couple weeks we'll get the bus drivers in we need, and then with the extended amount of full-time sub-drivers, we can hopefully move them into transition positions, and by the time we start next year we'll have a surplus instead of a deficit. So update on that. I really appreciate Brenda's update. We are moving forward with our data. We are moving forward with our student achievement, but it's not something you do overnight. Our PD is now surrounded by differentiating instruction, putting things in place so when we move into our new elementary schools and our other 2 schools, we're not forgetting about Montford Heights and Colerain. We are working K through 5 to get adjusted what we need to do. It's going to be an adjustment for the high schools because you go for years where they had 1 test. It used to be 9th grade proficiency, and then it was 10th grade OGT. And 11th and 12th grade teachers were just out on their own teaching and so on and so forth. So to team them up and get them where they need to be and check out these end of the course exams, it's going to take some time and some adjustment periods. It starts with keeping our quality staff that we have, and it comes with hiring more quality staff. And as we discussed, we know we have some diversity needs that we need to fill, and we will work very hard to get there, but it's going to take time. Our scores, though, are headed in the right direction, so we're very proud of them. Our teachers are working very hard, and you know, it's not easy to be a teacher nowadays. Value added is about to come out any day, and value added will be released to everyone, and people worried about, as a teacher, I got into teaching because I loved kids and I wanted to do the right things and I wanted to make a difference in a kid's life. Yes, I wanted to teach them math and English, but I also wanted to be there to help and support them and help them grow into an adult. Well, when you have value added out there, it is a great measurement. Are kids making growth? And that part, we're kicking butt and taking names. But where we started so low, it takes a while to get back up. So we're making those improvements. We're making those changes. We have great teachers who work very hard. We have great classified employees who are assisting in many ways. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're heading in the right direction. So the data, to me, and she is correct, if you compare our report card to anybody in Butler County or Hamilton County, we're right up there with all of them. But do we have growth? Oh, heck yeah, we do. We got room to grow, and we will grow, and we'll continue to make changes. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we have a spot for community comments. You don't have to fill out a card or anything. If you have any questions or comments about anything that was discussed tonight, you can just sit there at your chair, raise your hand, and ask. Does anybody have anything? Yes, sir.
Chris Miller. I want to thank the board as well as Dr. Johnson and Dr. Turney for your presentations. As someone who has executed training when it deals with cultural competency, although I'm not convinced, I'm remain very hopeful that the board will take serious consideration of the report. And just in giving the report and giving some indicators, although I know you're well intended, the intentions are well, but just as a point of clarity or learning, to refer to groups as subgroups may be cringe. And that is an example, hopefully, of a cultural competency when referring to minority groups and whatnot. And so I hope that, as I said, that the board will take all the work into serious consideration, because I am a concerned parent dealing with this issue. It is a long-standing issue with the school district that's been back longer than 20 years per one parent that I talked with, who not only was a student in this district, but is also a parent in this district. So it is a serious issue, and as I say, I remain hopeful. Thank you.
Also appreciate you coming to the board meetings. Is there anybody else? I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Monica Bowles. I'm at Welch Elementary. My daughter's at Welch. And I share your concerns. I obviously have a daughter that's in elementary school. We actually transferred from CHCA. I will share with you all. I'm educated. I'm a big supporter of education, all that fun stuff. Having said that, one of my huge concerns is the lack of diversity. I mean, there are not any minority teachers in her school. My understanding is there aren't any up to 8th grade. And so, you know, as an African-American parent, it concerns me that our children are not seeing anyone that looks like them. My daughter was also in one of the, I guess, quote-unquote, worst classes in the school, apparently, as far as kids that had, quote-unquote, trouble. I witnessed myself personally, I'm a very active and a very involved parent of a teacher that was grossly unable to handle children in the classroom. I was in there as a parent for on several different occasions and was able to identify 4 of the problem children on 2 separate occasions. And as a parent, I got them to kind of settle down, if you will. And so my concerns are, is to make sure that we're not just yelling at kids all the time. We also don't have issues with showing up to class. This teacher was out more than 50% of the time. And, you know, I'm not understanding how something like that was allowed. The lack of consistency in the classroom is a huge problem. This teacher had meltdowns in front of first graders. So obviously, as a parent, I am very concerned. I'm a big supporter of public education, but understand in our end of the district, in Springfield Township, a highly significant population of parents are increasingly putting their children in private schools, which is a huge problem for Springfield Township, for us as property owners, for our children, for a lot of reasons. So I just want to encourage the board to make sure that there is utilization of Ms. Flannery and Ms. Johnson. But on top of that, you know, we have had a very strong PTA this year. We're not going to go away. We've increased our membership by 200%. We have business partners that we've never had. I'm very, very happy about that. We have a very diverse community. We have a very concerned community of parents. We have a lot of educated parents. We've not had any field trips, to my understanding, for the last 3 years. I'm happy to report that because the PTA has stood up and funded some, we are funding field trips for our children. We've had our first assembly for our children in several years, is my understanding. We are absolutely doing a lot as parents to step up, and I think that that really needs to be recognized. And in addition to just teaching to quote-unquote test, you know, we believe as a community in well-balanced and well-rounded education and exposure to other things outside the classroom as well for our children. And it just takes a village. It takes parents. It takes teachers, and I think there are some good teachers, but I also frankly think that there are teachers in that school who are just not capable in some cases of handling some of the very complex issues of diversity. And so I just hope that all of you all will take a look at that. I am very concerned as an elementary parent. I'm giving this one more year, and then if I don't see improvement, I mean, I'm really concerned about my child. I'm doing extra homework with her every night just to make sure that she is above grade. So, you know, I work full time, and I feel like as a taxpayer, I'm paying people to teach my daughter, and I'm very concerned. So I just want to make that known, and, you know, I commend all of you. I commend you all, but I just want to make sure that we've got attention on this. And I'm very concerned about our representation in Springfield Township as well. So thank you all for listening.
As we've talked at PTA meetings, we're working on everything you've discussed. Dr. Kessling is going to do a presentation. She'll get you exact stats as requested for classified and certified. They're not going to be what we want them to be, but again, the hope with what we have started with Dr. Turney and Dr. Monique Johnson is that the plan can be put in place because it's been long needed, and it's something that we decided that we needed to move forward with immediately because there definitely needs to be change. And so the board will support us in what we do. I think you've heard what they've had to say tonight, but I don't think we can fix everything, but we are going to work as hard as we can to fix it as fast as we can. And we owe that to every parent in this district. So,
I would like to personally take a moment, as I started out as a PTA mom, and my strongest friendships are from that. First of all, thank you for everything you're doing as a PTA parent. I think it's important that the board does, I mean, we do recognize each year our PTAs, but for this, to hear this, that you're able to fund a field trip. I mean, those are things that we do need to know. And I know you're busy and working full time and helping with homework, and then to go to a meeting, and sometimes boring meeting on top of that. But for you to come here and take the time to stand up and share that's a way to keep this dialogue open so that you know that we all work together. So I want to thank you very much for that. Okay, is there anybody else? Yes, sir.
Currently have two kids, one at Corey High School, another at Corey Middle School. One report, I'm sorry, I was taking notes. I believe you maybe brought up, you mentioned high suspension rate. I don't know if you gave any stats behind that when I was writing. Can you kind of talk?
I did not actually talk about discipline in this meeting, but it's certainly something that we have lots of information and data on that we could share.
Okay.
Today was focused on the report card, which doesn't have that particular piece of data.
I can speak to that briefly. I mentioned it in our report, and that was one of the rationales for pursuing this, that we do have a high suspension and expulsion rate of our minority students, as well as students on IEP. So I did mention that. And that will be a part of our diversity plan and one of our pillars in addressing that.
Anyone else?
Thank you very much for all of your comments. At this time, we're going to go into other board items, board comments. Chris?
Pam, just wanted to congratulate Northwest High School and Colerain High School for their great homecomings. The parade at Northwest is always an event. I guess it'll be my last one riding the trolley. But the candy throw and just the positive atmosphere was really good this year. So just wanted to bring that up and congratulate both schools.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Michael?
I'd just like to echo what Chris said. That was two outstanding events, and just the positive energy on both campuses, and the way the communities really pack in, especially as you get closer and closer to the school, and on both schools' parade routes. It's really something to see. It's great.
Okay, Bob?
Homecomings were great. I'd like to thank all the presenters tonight. Everybody did a great job, especially the kids from Northwest High School there. It's always fun to watch those guys come in and give their presentations. And I'd like to thank the community members for coming and sharing their information with us tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo that same thing that Bob just said, but the audiovisual class, if you all can go to Northwest High School and see these kids working these computers and doing this, it's unbelievable how much they're going to get out of this, and leads to jobs. And then the manufacturing day, if you have a son or daughter that's interested in some type of manufacturing, I would definitely look into the advanced precision machine. It is a great class, and like I said earlier, there's 3 million jobs nationwide that go unfulfilled every year in this field, and it's just, there's a lot of jobs out there for kids, that may not want to go to college. Like Rhinestall, they're going to offer to pay part of your college and work there, when they get out of school. So it's a great opportunity for our kids.
Okay. And actually, it's hard not to talk about the homecoming since we're coming off both of them. A lot of work goes behind planning a successful homecoming, and I just want to take a shout out on the Northwest side. 3 ladies that you see year after year after year after year. One for sure, kids are grown and not even there anymore, but Dana, Dorothy, and Ruby do a fantastic job on the Northwest side with their parades. It's a lot of work getting convertibles and volunteers to pull that all together. And then on the Colerain side, I know Shannon Cormican has done it for years, Carrie Rovers, Teresa Strong. Year after year, they're out there doing that as well. I thought it was a really classy touch to have our former retired beloved custodian from Weigel, Mr. Tim Leather, as the Grand Marshal. That was really neat to see him do that. So great nights on both. The weather held out off for both, so that was neat. And then also, anytime we have student achievement reports and we get to hear directly from the kids, and the kids are putting on the presentation, that's the highlight, in my opinion, of the meetings. And to see those young men and how well-spoken and how excited, you could see how excited they were about what they're doing with digital media. And I look forward to hearing the criminal justice in the future. But, and I certainly hope that Adam gets to be a state officer. That'd be really cool. I know last year we had Mr. Boyd, Carlos Boyd, nationally was the president, and a graduate of Northwest High School, and he's representing the whole United States. So we are still very, very proud of him, and hopefully Mr. Haynes will be right there too. So congratulations to all of them. And I want to thank all of you, both of you. Report, like I said before, it's sometimes tough to talk about, but it's certainly things we need to talk about. And something, sir, as far as even bringing up a subgroup, maybe someone didn't even think to mean it in a way, but for you to bring that up, that's a very valid point, and I think that'll make all of us think differently in the future, so I appreciate that. So I know we're going to And I know this is usually when Chris tells me I'm supposed to pause because she's trying to type what I say, but, oh, you're good. Okay, so we're gonna, we need a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Do we need to read all that?
Superintendent recommends that the Board of Education approve the motion to move in executive session as listed.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? I don't believe we'll be taking any action. You're welcome to stay. I don't know how long we'll be back there, but once we come back, we'll just be adjourning the meeting. So let's go ahead and vote. That motion passes 5-0. At this time, we'll move into executive session. Again, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight.